What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Tour de Beer, a different beer every day of the Tour de France. I am Uncle Frank, if you haven't figured that out by now. And if this is brand new to you, yes, this is something that I've been doing all this year, and I've done in years past, a different beer for each stage of the Tour de France. If you're new to the channel, please like, subscribe, share, all those things. Tell your friends, leave some comments, all those fun things. And I'm going to talk about today's stage, stage 19 on Friday, and a beer that I'm going to talk about. I don't want to call it review because it makes it sound like I'm going to critique. I'm just going to tell you about the beer itself. Now, real quick, also, so we got two stages left, 20 and 21. Another day in the Alps, and then the time trial, Saturday and Sunday. I will make some videos for that. However, it may not be here in the kitchen space. I have, if you've been paying attention to this, you noticed before that I said I have to. A friend of mine, or someone that I knew from racing BMX bikes, has passed away. I'm going down to Rhode Island for a memorial service, and then probably come back up here to New Hampshire on Sunday. I'll probably visit my mom. My mom lives down that way, here in the southern New England area. So anyway, I'm going to be on the road. I'll be back and forth. I will try and do videos, but they might be done via my phone. Not the same exact thing, but we'll still get videos for those two stages. Today's stage, big mountain stage. And in years past, what I have done for the big stage, the Queen stage or super high altitude, I've gone with a high ABV beer. Today would be a good day for that, considering it's Friday and I finally don't have to work tomorrow. So you would be looking at something like Sierra Nevada Narwhal Imperial Stout. Or we have this one that's over here too, another Sierra Nevada Bigfoot barley wine, another big beer. However, this year we did a little beer trade with my friend Chris that I know through Bike MS. I've been drinking the beers that he got for me. He's been drinking beers that I sent to him. So I am going to do a big beer that I got from there. This is called Beer Drinking is Not a Crime. It's actually kind of funny. This is an 8.5% double IPA from the Aslin brewery. I talked about Aslin. I've had another beer from them. That was their Vienna Lager. I had that a few days ago. Talked about how they have a lot of IPAs and a lot of sours. The Vienna Lager seemed to be a little bit different. So we get to have, I guess, something they specialize in, considering they do a lot of IPAs and a lot of sours. Beer drinking is not a crime. Aslin Brewing, double dry hopped, double IPA, Alexandria, Virginia, and that's all it says. It doesn't say what type of hops or anything like that. So I don't know. Let's see what we're gonna get into and talk about today's big stage. When I say big, I mean big. Those of you in the New England area and maybe just around as far as cycling and mountain climbing and things like that, Mount Washington is one of the tallest points around here. Here in New Hampshire, we have something we call the 4,000 footers. You hike all the 4,000 footers, mountains that are 4,000 feet or more. Mount Washington is 6288, 6,288 feet above sea level. Today's stage, they were at, let's look at this. I wrote this down to make sure I didn't get it wrong, 6,640 feet. So it's bigger than Mount Washington. That's insane. At a average grade 7.1% for 16 kilometers. That's 10 miles. If you're from the New Hampshire and Maine area, if you've ever been to Mount Agamenticus, that's an 8% climb with a 12% kicker, and it's not even a mile long. Think about riding up Mount Aggie for 10 miles. Not hill repeats, not up and then come back down and do it again. No, straight. Keep going, Mount Aggie for 10 miles. That's insane as far as that gradient. And, oh yeah, by the time you're done, you're going to climb the equivalent of going to Mount Washington, which is insane. Yes. Just big. Big, big, big. So big beer, 8.5%. Let's talk about this beer and then we'll talk about the stage. A lot of stuff going on. All right. Hop aroma, little muted, For double IPAs, I was expecting a little bit more punch to it. Check the date. I don't know if this is old or not. It is. It's actually smudged on the bottom of the can. You can't really see what the can date was. So sometimes if they're a little bit older, they might lose some of the aroma. That's okay though. We've got a great color to it. Great carbonation. Nice head on this. Slightly, I'd call this hazy without being turbid, which is something that I like when I'm looking for the hazy IPAs. It doesn't say hazy IPA or New England IPA. It just says double dry hop. So you will get some haze from the hop oils. Okay, we've got mango, pineapple, juice, sweet, and then juice. Um, hmm. Sorry, don't mean to be so silent. And I typically don't edit, so it's not like I'm gonna cut back into it. Just really trying to think about what I've got going on in this beer here. Double IPA. Uh, well, IPAs are usually bitter, slightly bitter, so your double IPA might have some more bitterness to it. When you go into the New England style, they tend to be more hop flavor and hop aroma forward than hop bitterness. So I can understand where you don't have that bitterness in there. A lot of mango and overripe fruit, which is a flavor that can come from the hops, depending on what you're using. Citra, Mosaic, Galaxy, a lot of the ones that all kind of go together. And yeah, the overripe fruit is sitting there. I get some grapefruit as well. I'm gonna be honest, this beer is kind of all over the place for me. I'm not saying it's not bad. It's just not. There's not like ooh. There's not that jump of aroma or jump of flavor or yeah. Uh, I don't think it's old because that can happen. You know, especially with IPAs, they get muted, they start to fade off or whatever. So I don't think this beer is old. I'm just well, I'm going to give an honest review. You know, I'm never going to say a beer sucks. If it did, I probably wouldn't even talk about it on air. And this beer does not suck. It's maybe I was just looking for a little bit more out of it. I'm not really sure. The juiciness. That's I think that's what it is. There's a lot of juice flavor that's taking away from the beer flavor on this particular beer. I wish I knew what the hops were on this. Just says drink fresh, and it says in Puerto Rico, don't litter. I don't know why it doesn't say to not litter everywhere, but I'm not really sure. Beer drinking is not a crime, and it's not. It's an 8.5% double IPA from Aslin. I enjoyed the Vienna Lager a little bit more. I'm going to be truthful because well that's what I do. I'm not going to beat it up, but I'm not going to give it a lot of praise. I'm not going to dump it. It's not a drain pour. It's a well made beer. It's not infected or bad or anything like that, but just a lot of juice. I feel like I'm drinking breakfast juice and I'm missing out on the beer, unfortunately. Yeah. Oh well. Uh, well, I've had two beers from Maslin. I liked one, yeah, not so much on the other one. That's what you get when you're trying to do 21 different beers over the course of the Tour de France. Speaking of the Tour de France, let's get to that. So during today's stage, I'd say there was probably, I don't know, 30 kilometers left. And the breakaway had a really, really spicy group. Some people that I would like to see challenge for the finish. Jai Hindley was in this. Richard Carapaz was in this. Adam Yates was in this. Matteo Jorgenson was in this. So it's a and Matteo, you'd be like, oh, that's part of the spicy group. Yes, it was because Jorgenson's been pretty good. I feel like in major races, he's been in the up and comer. He's finished fourth. He's finished third. He's moving his way up. Excuse me, through through the ways that he wants to be able to achieve. And the kid's a great bike racer. I mean, he's an American champion for a reason. So anyway, so yeah, that was a spicy group that I'd like to be able to see them doing that. Matteo was with them all the way until the base of the climb. Excuse me. At the base of the climb, Jai Hindley gets dropped. Like, whoa, what's going on? Yates, Carapaz, and the American, Jorgenson. And they are working really, really well together in order to stay ahead of the group. Now, was the chase group really trying to get to them that much? They're not attacking within each other. They don't need to do anything within the GC. There's nothing really that's going to happen for the polka dots. Yesterday's conversation was, would Tade go for polka dots? And I feel like he would go for yellow. He wants to protect yellow, and maybe polka dots happen with it. He's not going for polka dots and jeopardizing the yellow unless he knows he can just smash everything. We're talking about Tade Pogacar, however you want to pronounce it. I feel like all the major players have different ways of saying their name. And I'll use all of them by the time we're done with these 21 stages. So, the final climb, they get to the base of the climb. Matteo Jorgenson is still there. Jai Hindley gets dropped. They're going along. And like I said, this is about a 10 miles worth of climbing. And I looked at it before, and Matteo attacks with 8 miles. Matteo, the youngster, he attacks Carapaz and Yates. I'm like, what are you doing, man? Exciting. I thought maybe he went a little bit too early. Is it too early? There's only way to be able to know. Carapaz starts getting on it. And it's like, all right, he's going to start to catch him. Carapaz is such a veteran and so good. But Matteo just has this face, this steadiness, that's just going. And I understand maybe why he's on this squad, because last year, the guy doing the same exact thing was Sepp Kuss. Now, Sepp Kuss is still on the team, but he was ill, so he couldn't ride. Can you imagine if they had both of those guys? That'd be nuts. But Matteo, very steady, very focused. Adam Yates eventually gets ahead of Carapaz and starts to drop him. Now you're like, oh, is he going to catch him now? Matteo's going. And just very stoic. With 8 miles, I'm like, he might be able to get this. And we're cheering for him, obviously. So now we look back at the GC group and what's going on over there. Is somebody going to attack? Is somebody going to try and drop? Is Remco going to try and get ahead? And here comes Tadej Pogacar again. And part of it was like, I love how he just says, I feel like winning. I want to go faster. And he just attacks and he rides. At the same time, I'm like, no, I want Matteo Jorgenson to be able to get a win. Whatever. He's too far back. He's not going to be able to catch them. Or is he? He's just absolutely amazing. He jumps out. Jonas Vingegaard has no answer. Remco, I don't think even tries to answer. He's like, I'm pretty solid here. And you could see it in that moment that the battle was no longer for first versus second. The battle is second and third. Tade's on another level, man. He's just outrageous. I'm seeing you later. I'll talk to you guys at the finish line. And so now it's Jonas and Remco looking at each other. What do we do here? All right, we're just going to kind of figure our thing out. They didn't even try to get back on wheels. That was nuts. There goes Tade. Now, can Tade make up that much time and that much space? Yes, he can. Tadej Pogacar starts making his way up from the base of the climb. Again, as I was talking about, this climb is an average of 7%. So there's 8s, there's 9s, maybe there's a 5 in here, but it's 10 miles long. And Matteo attacked with 8 miles left in this. He was ahead 6 miles, 5 miles, just making his way through. And I got to look at my notes again because it was so exciting that, I mean, I can't remember it all offhand to just look at you and tell you what was going on. But I remember this. And these final climb stats, an elevation game. So granted, it's 6,600 feet. They're kind of in the middle already, so they're not climbing all 6,600 feet. But still, it's taller than Mount Washington, for God's sakes. 3,700 feet of elevation gain. Matteo is doing his thing. And I just feel like one of the reasons that Tade attacked, I feel like Tade feels like he has Jonas now. He wants to make sure he has enough space between him and Remco, because when it comes down to the time trial, Remco is very, very good. Also, if you look at last year, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, he lost by like 4 minutes, 5 minutes. He he doesn't feel comfortable. He wants to make sure A, I'm dominating, and B, I need to put as much space between me and everybody else as possible. So I don't blame him for that. And I know I'm already about 15 minutes into this video. Hopefully you're still paying attention, because I find this, the beer needed a little bit more review as well. And this stage deserves more review anyway. I'm going to go back to NBC Sports, and it was TJ Van Garderen, and I respect everything about TJ Van Garderen. But he's talking about, did Tade really need to do this? It's kind of like you're up by 20 in a basketball game, and time's winding down, and you shoot a 3-pointer instead of dribbling out the clock. I will disagree with TJ on this. It's not fourth quarter, it's third quarter. There's still a stage left. There's still the time trial. What if you're the team that's known for blowing fourth quarter leads? This is something that Tade hasn't been able to capitalize the past 2 years, his fourth quarter. So maybe it's more like shooting a 3-pointer in the third quarter, a 3-pointer in the third quarter, excuse me. And you're like, oh, what are you doing? You're already up by 20. Because you're known for falling apart in the fourth quarter. You're known for not closing out games. That's his mindset right now. It's like, nothing is safe. The other side of that is that's how much he respects Remco Evenepoel and Jonas Vingegaard, because he knows that if something comes out of this, he has a slightly bad day and they have a really good day, suddenly it's a race. And there's no parade into Paris. There's no Champs-Élysées and toasting with champagne. You got to make sure you get the job done. So, TJ, I understand what you're saying, but I disagree with your take on that, in that it's not a 3-pointer at the end of the fourth quarter. It's a 3-pointer at the end of the third, because he's got to make sure he gets it done in his fourth quarter. If don't break the race, 21 stages, 19 in is more than a quarter. I'm not doing the math, but you understand my point. I understand his point, and I totally respect it. I just think that Tade's a bike racer, and he's going to go after every win that he possibly can, but he's also making sure he has enough time, because he wants to make sure that doesn't happen, and he respects his rivals. So he goes for it. Anyway, can he catch them? Yes. Yes, he can, and he's damn good. So he starts rolling through, and now you see him, and he's catching Richard Carapaz. And he passes Carapaz. And to Carapaz's credit, he jumps on the wheel. He gets on him. He's like, all right, maybe you can pull me back up to Yates. And you pull me back to Yates, and maybe something's going to happen. And Tade's just like, see ya. Like, it's amazing. And he's gone. He's got his hair sticking out of his helmet and everything. It's nuts. He gets to Yates. Same thing. It just, I don't know. He's adding time. He's adding time on Yates and Carapaz. And what's funny is, before he even came up, the Yates and Carapaz were yo-yoing. So Matteo Jorgenson, like I said, he made the attack. He's up front. And those guys could not, I don't say they couldn't respond to it, but they're like not going to work together to get to him. They were, can I get there? Okay, no, I'm going to get there. So they were yo-yoing back and forth a little bit. I just thought it was such a great race, and so many things to think about, to look at, to analyze. And again, I'm fat guy amateur who just likes to watch bike racing. I'm sure, and I've been looking on Twitter and stuff like that, these other people who talk about bike racing and know bike racing and the things that they've said. And I'm like, oh my God, I have the same thought. Maybe I know what I'm talking about. And somebody else says something, I'm like, I didn't even think about that. Wow, okay, fine. So it's just been such a good stage and such a good race so far. So let me wrap this all up while I'm finishing my IPA here. Tade catches Matteo, and I think it was, I'm going to write it down here. Yeah, I know I wrote it down. Tried adding time, couldn't. Caught by Tade at 1.1 miles left. The base of the climb was 10 miles. He attacked at 8. He had 1.1 miles left, and Tade caught him. And I saw his interview after, and he was a little disappointed. Matteo Jorgenson, you're probably never going to see this video, but if you do, dude, you can't be disappointed. You got beat by the best bike racer in the world right now with 1.1 miles left. Not only that, after Tade passes him, Yates and Carapaz do not catch him. So it's only because Todd is like, I need to put more space in, and I have to win everything that I can possibly get. If Todd had not attacked, maybe he attacked and put some space on Jonas and on Remco and stayed there, but let those three guys go up front, Matteo Jorgenson gets a win. An American Tour de France stage win with Yates 2 and Carapaz 3. Unfortunately, Toddy decided, no, I need to be Toddy and I need to get everything. So to put a bow tie on all of this, how did it end up? And at the end, and the things that I took away at the end, sorry, I'm a little itchy. Quick interlude, I will tell you, just because I think it's funny, and I'm going to put it into other places too. It's been a very interesting week at work at the brewery. For those who don't follow, I do work for a brewery. I'm a professional brewer. And this very seasonal week, where early in the week, we did almost 300 barrels worth of blueberry ale. Very summery, blueberry, woo! And today, we brewed pumpkin. In the same week. Yes, blueberry ale and pumpkin. Blueberry is year-round, by the way. But obviously, I just feel like it sells a lot more in the summertime. And we're making pumpkin in July. But you got to do it. It takes that long to be able to get it and then package and out to distributors so that people will have it for September-ish. Hopefully not earlier. Don't drink your pumpkin beer. But yeah, when I shower today, I'm going to smell like some kind of weird latte. Anyway, that's just why I'm like digging on my shirt, because I had pumpkin spices on me. So that's not what's affecting my aroma on my beer, by the way. Now, sorry, bow tie. Tade, Matteo, Yates, Carapaz. 1, 2, 3, 4. I just thought it was amazing the way they came across and other people coming in. João Almeida is still in the mix as far as top 10, which is cool. Yes, we as Americans are looking for that American guy. Matteo Jorgenson, top 10. Yeah, I think he's sitting in 9th now at this point, which is pretty cool. I mentioned João Almeida because he's Portuguese. I have Portuguese in my heritage. So, I mean, we don't have any Cape Verdeans in the Tour de France. So I'll take the Portuguese guy. And yeah, he's in there. So I think that's pretty cool. I did notice end of race stuff. Tadej Pogacar goes to Matteo Jorgenson and like pats him on the back. He's like, man, good job, kid. Like, I think that's classy. Yes, he attacked him, and people can debate whether he should or should not have. But he went to Matteo and was like, dude, I had to take it, and great job. Like, good job on you. I think that's classy. I also noticed Jonas Vingegaard, and I watched some post-race interviews, and they never really talked about Jonas and how he broke down and cried. End of the race, he was in tears. It was visible. He was there with, I believe it's his wife. I don't think it's his girlfriend. I think it's his wife. And he's bawling, dude. And he knows he lost the Tour. There's no way he's winning the Tour now. There's no way. And that upset him. And I get it. As someone who used to compete, as a competitor, as watching this guy compete. But I can tell you, man, Jonas Vingegaard, however you want to say his name, Vingegaard, and like he worked his ass off. He survived a crash that most people like. They're like, "Hey, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore." No, he came back, and right now he's sitting second in the Tour de France. He might drop to third because Remco is really, really good. and he's going to go to the time trial. If he still keeps the podium, and I feel like he will, I feel like he might still keep second. I don't know. But if he drops, if he's in the third, he gets beat by one of the best time trialists around and by the best bike rider in the world right now. Jonas has nothing to be sorry about. But I get it. You're a guy that doesn't, you're a champion. Champions don't want to lose. And he was crying hard. So I feel like he already knows he's lost. He's lost the Tour de France. It's done. So I think that's done. And let's talk about Matteo Jorgenson again. The young kid, the amount of maturity as he goes over to Jonas. And it's consoling Jonas Vingegaard, saying, hey, man, you gave it everything you had. That's maturity. And that really makes me like them as a unit, as a team, even more. It'd be really interesting to see how that works out going forward. Is that going to be the team? Matteo and Jonas, and then Sepp Kuss comes back. Oh yeah. Oh, that's right. They still also have Wout van Aert. Like, man, that's a crazy team. Like, I gotta get a T-shirt of that team or whatever. Speaking of T-shirts, chamois butter for the win. Super faded tie-dye, but I like the shirt. It's very, very comfortable and a different T-shirt. And I believe I have worn a different T-shirt every day of the Tour de France as well. So anyway, this was a longer video. Hopefully you found this slightly entertaining. I'm talking about bike racing. I'm talking about beer. It's Friday night. I will do what I can with my phone on Saturday and Sunday. There's some bike rides that could be had, but let's be honest, man. Life is about catching up with the people who are important. I don't say it every time, but I say it in other times, especially on my Instagram or whatever, about being good to yourself, being good to each other, ride bikes, drink beer, and do epic shit. Those are the 5 things, and I have to pay homage to that by going down to Rhode Island tomorrow to see some friends. So uh, the video might not be that great, but that's where it is. I'm looking at my notes real quick just to make sure there's nothing else that I wanted to mention. The elevation gain again, and I actually have not done Mount Aggie at all yet this year. So if you're in my area, if you live here in New Hampshire, like, reach out to me and be like, "Hey, Frank, get off your fat ass and let's go. We're gonna go ride Mount Aggie." I got to do it. I always do it at least once a year, and I have not yet this year. So that's something I need to be able to do. Maybe I'll throw that in with some other things into my podcast. I will throw in the podcast someplace. It's been jumbled. I don't know how to link it all together. And this is just me being honest. So the podcast, Hop on Two Wheels, it's available on Podbean. Eventually it'll be on other things. And I'll talk about me struggling to get up Mount Aggie. I don't know, or just some other bike race. And I will be at SBT Gravel. So if you're in Steamboat Springs, make sure you come and say hi. Yeah, that'd be awesome to just kind of talk to some people. Reggie Miller, yeah, I'd love to be able to hang out with you. But I do have some key people I will be meeting up with. Uh, I'm coming up on a half hour here. I've been rambling. It's time for me to eat some dinner. Thank you for hanging out. I super appreciate it. 2 more stages, stage 20 and stage 21, I think are going to be very telling and going to be a really good time. But I am heading out. Thank you again. And like I said, be good to yourselves, be good to each other. Ride bikes, drink beer, and do epic shit. Uncle Frank, and I'm out. Cheers.